Hello, my name is Ilona, and in this series about shadow work, I want to talk about people that are completely in their heads and people that are completely in their feelings and their emotions. And they're both, of course, the extremes. It's very important that we balance ourselves. So when I was growing up, I was actually very sensitive. Obviously, I'm very sensitive, but I didn't know how to deal with it. No one taught me how to deal with it, my emotions, my feelings. So I would jump into my head immediately. I would just live in my head, try to control things, try to analyze things, try to, so I don't have to look at my emotions, my feelings, even though I was still feeling them, I was kind of just pushing them away and a more rational approach. So I still have that in me. The first thing I do is start analyzing things. Of course, I'm now aware of it. So immediately when I start doing that, I can really ground myself again and start feeling and using my, ratio as well, more in a balanced way. And it's practice. I'm still learning every day. But it's very important if you deal with people and if you yourself notice that you're in your head to ground yourself. But if you're dealing with people in your life, could be family, could be relationships, could be friendships with someone that is completely in their head, it's very important to see how you want to deal with that. Does this person truly resonate with you? I've noticed, I do readings online and through phone, that I've noticed a lot of relationships, mostly women that contact me, that are in a relationship with a man that is completely closed off. He doesn't want to show his emotions. It's very difficult to feel an emotional connection to him. And then it's very important for you to see how you want to deal with that. Because if someone is truly in their heads, they are not going to understand you. So if you're emotional, they could, reject you, make you feel like they don't understand you, because they don't. They are in their heads because that protects them from their own emotions and from their own feelings. And they don't really feel any more of that. They've completely shut them off. The most extreme cases, if they're in their heads. They don't want to feel, they just push it away. They will only view things with facts, arguments. It has to be rational. It only has to be rational. So if you come with something emotional, they will just be like, push it aside. And especially if you're in a relationship with someone and you want to share yourself emotionally, this is going to be very tough. So I suggest you start changing yourself, see why you've attracted someone that completely closed off, does say something about you. So there may be emotions, feelings that you've pushed aside that you don't want to take a look at. So really start connecting with yourself, and then you can see if the other person is going to change as well. It will be up to them if they want to change or not, but it will give them an opportunity. And if it doesn't happen, then of course it's up to you to make a decision whether you want to stay in this relationship. That's fine too. If you feel you can keep your energy at a high level, it doesn't bother you that much, then it's fine to stay in this relationship. But if you do want emotional support and you do want someone you can really share that emotional part with, then of course it's time to move on, and you will have to, make your choices then. But it's very important to understand someone doesn't change in that if they don't want to change. And it's also very important if someone has self-reflection. That is the most important part in a spiritual journey. Can someone reflect on their own behavior? Does someone understand if they do something that someone may react to that of course they can see and look at themselves and wonder, maybe I should approach it differently, or maybe I should look at it differently. Someone doesn't have any self-reflection, none at all. I don't see any chance of change. If someone is not willing to look at themselves in any shape or form or anything, they're not going to change, and then you'll have to make a decision. Is this what I want? Is this something I can live with or not? It's ultimately up to you. But they truly do not understand. They're completely shut off. They do not understand you. They do not understand why you're doing certain things. You can explain it over and over again. It's like talking to a wall. They will not understand you. So it is up to you to make that decision. So for someone that is in their heads, I will at the end of the video talk about that, especially when you know yourself, you start, all these thoughts running into your mind, what you can do about that. I'll talk about that later in this video, but first I want to take a look at people that are completely in the emotions and feelings. And you've got like two kinds of people. Of course, there are all kinds of in between and mixes, but you do have the people that just want the positive things. They just want to keep it superficial. They just want to have fun. They don't want to have all these tough things. So if you come up with something that's bothering you, they're like, yeah, that's fine. Well, we're going to have fun now. Let's just have fun. Let's not talk about this. Let's just have fun. So you have these people that just want to keep it fun, light, superficial. They don't want to dive in. Now, there's nothing wrong with if you're dealing with something and a friend of you is like, you know what? Especially if they've spoken with you about this, maybe we can do something, to just lighten the mood. There's nothing wrong with that. But these people, what I'm talking about, are always want to lighten the mood. There is no time or no room to really talk about tough things. They just want the positive. They just want the fun things. They're like social butterflies. They don't want to go in too deep. It has to be superficial. It has to be great. That's it. You can probably see them with all these flashy social media posts. It's all great in their world and there's never anything wrong. And if something's wrong, they'll just push it aside and just start having fun again. Or, I don't know, start a party, something like that. Then you also have these people, and of course you have mixes in between, but the people that are very negative. So there's always something going on. They're always sad. So all these things are happening to them. They're like this, it's just exhausting. Their lives are just exhausting. There's always drama. There's always fights. And it's like they live off this emotional high in being in all these ups and downs. They actually thrive in that. And so it's very important when you deal with those people that you really look at your own energy. Can I, put a boundary up? Does it feel all right to me, to my own energy? I also want to talk about emotional dumping. I saw an article yesterday and I thought it was very interesting. Emotional dumping is something that is, especially with people that are very negative in their emotions and they feel awful and lonely and sad, they'll dump things at your feet, so to speak. Especially when you're very highly sensitive, you probably draw in people that you have this tendency of helping. And especially when you're a people pleaser, you will draw in people that want to be helped, but they don't truly want to be helped. So emotional dumping is like that. For instance, so much has happened to you this day. You start out, this happening at your work, this is happening in your relationship, and then you call a friend and you're like, this and this and this and this happened. That is a form of of emotional dumping. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if it's really up to here that you just want to talk about things. But it's very important there's a balance, that you also, of course, the next time you talk about your friend. It's not like that you talk about yourself all the time. And that is what emotional dumping is. Maybe you can picture yourself like there's a grandmother or an old aunt, lives by herself, is miserable and calls you almost every day or every week. And just dumps things on you. Well, the neighbor did this, and this happened at a doctor, and this. She just dumps. She doesn't talk about you. She doesn't ask how you are doing. She really just wants to talk about herself, her problems, her issues. And then she feels a lot better. She's like, oh, thank you for listening. This is great. And she moves on. You're completely drained of your energy. You've been like, how do you say this? The garbage man. You're picking up her emotional garbage. And next week she comes along again to dump her garbage. Nothing has changed because that's not what this person wants. This person just wants to dump. So it's very important to look at things if that's happening. First of all, why am I attracting people that have a tendency of dumping things on me? Maybe you feel responsible. Maybe there's something else going on. You're a people pleaser. It's very important you start dealing with that. And then, of course, look at if you want to continue this, if this is really what you want to continue in your life. because it's not going to change. You're not helping anyone. And it's very important that you start putting up boundaries. And of course, if you start working with yourself, you won't feel guilty anymore and you're really going to step into your power. Those people will fall away because they won't be able to drain energy from you, because you'll be working with your energy. Because if you pay attention to someone, pay attention is giving them energy. So if you listen to someone for 2-3 hours just complaining about things, you're paying attention, you're giving away energy. So you really have to focus on where do you want to put your energy, so to speak. You can really see it as money in a way. Energy is really the most important thing here in this world, especially in the spiritual war. It's about energy. Where do I want to put my energy? Where do I want to send my focus? Very important that you do that. I also want to talk about people using their emotions as weapons. And I also want to just mention about, because this woke generation that we have, that want to be, how do you say this, certain pronouns they want to use. I'm not going to talk about this entire topic about these pronouns, but you know, I saw a TikTok video about frog and frog self, fairy and fairy self as pronouns. And that if you don't use those pronouns, they are offended. And this is really using your emotions as weapons. They're saying like, you're wrong, you are triggering me, that is your fault, so you have to change, so make me feel better. That is using emotions as weapons. And it's not just happening there. I'm sure it's been happening for a long time in friendships, in relationships, in family, that your mother, your father will make you feel guilty because they feel a certain way because of what you do. And it's very, very important that you step away from that. I see that as very dangerous when people start using the emotions as weapons. And even in people that are completely in their heads, they can, of course, be very cold and calculated and come up with decisions. If we look at the history of humanity, a lot of horrible things have been based on cold scientific fact, so to speak. So we have to step away from that as well. We need a combination. We need a balance of mind and soul, and mind and heart. So it's very important that if you deal with people that do that, that make you feel guilty, that make you feel like you're responsible because they feel insulted or they feel triggered or they feel hurt, that you first, of course, look at what's going on. Do I feel guilty? What's going on? Why do I, why is this happening? Why am I attracting this situation? It's very possible, especially in family situations, that there is a lot of guilt, that you do feel responsible for how your mother feels or how your father feels. And ultimately, you're not. This may sound like very difficult, but ultimately, we cannot make someone else feel better in any way if it puts us in a position we don't want to be. That is not our responsibility. It is never our responsibility how someone else feels. And I'm talking about adults around us. Of course, with children, it's a bit different, especially when you have very young children, because you are responsible for them. But ultimately, we are not responsible for other mature people, whether they are our mother or our father or our partner or our sister or brother or our colleague. We are not responsible for how they react to what we say, what we do. If we act very, authentic to ourselves, how someone else is going to respond or handle that is not up to us. So it's very important to look if we do feel guilty or do feel horrible about something. Of course, if we've said some things, we can come back to that and, that wasn't meant this way. We can look at why are we acting this way? Why have we been reacting this way? Very important that we do that, but we should not feel responsible how someone else is acting. Otherwise, they'll start blackmailing us. That's like emotional blackmail. And you have to be very careful with that, because then they can pretty much push you in any direction they want. And we really should stop that, because that's a very toxic thing when people have certain powers over you and start using, well, you're not grateful enough, or look at what I've done, all those things I've done for you, so you have to do this, 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 and this. That's not the way we should handle each other. That's not the way we should be dealing with each other, it should be in a respectful way. Everyone has the right to be authentic, and it's very important that you look at yourself, clean up your shadow side, because that's very important as well. Just because you want to be authentic doesn't mean that you can be like a horrible person. You really have to look, why do I want to do that? Because we are creative beings. We are not here to destroy. That's not our intention. We are here to create. We are here to create new things. So really our essence is about creating life, about creating joy and love and connection. So if you have this other side, you really have to look at yourself. But ultimately, we are not responsible for how someone else is living their, how to say this, how someone else feels or how someone else does things. We all have to take in our own responsibility. So if something's happening, stay within your own energy, see if it feels right to you or not. If something comes up, something is triggered, you deal with that. And the other person will have to deal with his or her own issues. If they don't want to do that, then you of course have to take steps like, do I want to continue with this or not? That is up to you. But don't let them use you or abuse your emotions, your feelings against you. Very important. And in the same way, do not let someone abuse you by all these logical arguments they come up with. Well, it's because this and this, you have to do this and this and this. Really, it's very important that you keep a balanced mind and make, balance yourself as well as you can, so you can make true decisions that connect with yourself, that is from your intuition, your connection with God. So you're not going to be giving away your powers, because that's what this is about as well. If you let someone else get into you, that you are suddenly responsible for how they feel, then you are giving away your power to them, because then apparently they are deciding what you should do and shouldn't do. And that's the same way, of course, with someone who's very rational. Do not give away your power. Make your own decisions. So what do you do if you are, I've already mentioned, if you're dealing with people that are very much in their heads or very much with the emotional and, very emotional and feelings. It's best to step away and look at your own energy. But if you're feeling yourself that you're very quickly to jump into your head, start analyzing everything, really ground yourself. Very important. Start doing something physical so you really ground yourself again, so you connect with your heart again, and you can really feel through things as well. So it will be a balanced, you will look at it in a more balanced way. Very important. And if you are very much in your feelings, you're very sad, you're crying all the time, first ground yourself so you can start connecting with your ratio and start looking at things from a distance. Very important. So if you're very much in your feelings and emotions and you feel like you're kind of flowing away, ground yourself and then look at a distance at what's going on. And then of course you can, from looking at this distance, from looking at objectively towards it, you can start feeling in your body, what am I feeling, what's really going on. And when you're very much in your head, you can start by feeling your body, and that will connect you with your emotions. So it's very important to ground yourself. You feel like you're in your head, ground yourself. You feel like you're all over the place, ground yourself. Most important thing we can do right now is ground ourselves. Know that we are responsible for how we feel, how we take things in, how we react to people. So if something's triggering you, something's bothering you, see what's going on inside of yourself. And of course, if it's necessary, take steps accordingly to protect yourself and to protect your energy. Very important. Ground yourself, most important thing to do. And I'd like to leave it at this, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.